Today on Monkey Life, fears grow for Trudy, one of the park's most famous chimps.
Anything that's going to be sinister like a tumour is going to show up nice and bright.
Marcel the marmoset proves to be a star pupil.
Marcel, hand. Good boy, well done.
And baby Diego finally graduates and joins his woolly monkey family. This is Monkey World in Dorset. Tucked away deep in the English countryside, it's the largest sanctuary for monkeys and apes on the planet. And this is Dr. Alison Cronin, the primate's best friend. Alison and her team spend their lives rescuing...
Pretty huge, yeah, it doesn't get much huger.
...and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
You see, we're all head shaking hello.
They currently look after more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. There's been growing concern over the health of chimp Trudy. The youngster was rescued as a baby from circus owner Mary Chipperfield, who was prosecuted for cruelty.
Don't start, please, Trudy, because I'm not in that sort of a mood.
Over the last few weeks, Trudy has been displaying signs of back problems. But a series of X-rays has failed to provide a definitive answer.
It's narrowed down the possibilities of what Trudy's problem is, that work that we did on her the other day, but it still leaves us with a full range of something that is terminal and not very nice for Trudy's future, or something that simply is a case of she needs to be, a little bit cautious for a while and she'll heal up and get better. Still we need to do a bit more investigating and find out. I am very concerned for Trudy.
The X-rays suggest there may be some kind of mass around the vertebrae in Trudy's upper spine. That could indicate a tumour, which might be cancerous or not, an infection, but her blood tests were clear, or be the result of a previous trauma injury.
I'm going to call an urgent meeting with all of our vets so that we can have a plan of action, because at the moment all three possibilities basically mean us just managing her in the way that we are.
Alison's prepared to go to any length to solve Trudy's problems, so the team decide to call in a special mobile medical device. It's so enormous, they've had to trim some of the trees to get it into the park.
We're in a lorry, basically, which contains a mobile MRI scanning unit, which comprises of a huge magnet and all the various computerized gizmos that go with it. But it's rather like an extremely fancy X-ray or a CT scan. And it's going to tell us a lot more about the problems in Trudy's neck than a conventional X-ray will do. With a chimp, the very first thing you have to rule out is trauma. So be it a fracture or whatever. But we'll see. We'll get a lot more idea from the MRI image as to whether the lesions we saw on X-ray are caused by trauma or whether they're caused by something more sinister like a tumour growing. It's both possible, but it's a chimp. We're going to rule out trauma first.
MRI scanners are used regularly in hospitals. The patient needs to lie very still, so Trudy will have to be anaesthetised for the whole procedure. Always a risk.
We're going to be doing a pretty major scan. We're going to be looking at the brain and the whole spinal cord, and depending on how we go with the anaesthetic, we might look at the hips and perhaps other parts of the body that look a bit suspect when we're scanning as well.
Trudy is driven across the park and carefully transferred to the scanner lorry. Jeremy, vets John and Femke, and radiologist Andrew work quickly to get everything ready for the scan.
Is there any way we could
temperature-wise, it's too cold in here for her, way too cold.
The team aren't sure what's causing Trudy's condition, and they need to work down the body, so the first scan he does is her head.
You can see the brain, which is this part just here, and we're looking at the different things. We're looking at the fluid that surrounds the brain. We can see the grey and the white matter. We're looking to see if there's any tumours, any great nasty effects from some trauma.
This is just, fantastic technology which gives you effectively like opening pages of an anatomy textbook, which is wonderful. I don't know how it works, haven't got a clue. It's a bit like going to a financial advisor. They'll explain everything to you and 10 minutes later you've forgotten. And I know people have explained the principle of MRI to me in the past. Yeah, I'm blowed if I can remember it.
We can see here exactly what's inside her head. So we can see that there's no great space-occupying lesion that's, for example, a tumour that's going to cause any big problems. So far, so good, touch wood. We haven't quite finished. We're going to look at the spine next, and so we can have a look down there.
Now, as long as we know that she doesn't have something like a tumor that's eating away at her central nervous system and causing her pain that she's hiding and the whole thing, that's my main concern for Trudy, is her welfare.
Later, concern in the scanner.
Massive lesion there.
Oh my God!
Could this be the reason for Trudy's problems? Leanne Bates and her husband Mike are regular visitors to the park. They're both primate experts from California, where Alison's from. They swap ideas and research with the team at Monkey World and help with the primates training.
You can vary the session by mixing up the behaviors a little bit more.
Yeah, okay.
Today, Leanne is helping Donna from the Small Monkeys team. She's training one of the tiniest monkeys in the park, Marcel the marmoset, to present his hand for inspection.
That's our target. Good boy.
Technically, the technique they're using is called operant conditioning.
That's our target. Well done.
Clicker training for short, because a click sound is used to tell the primates they've done something right. It's mostly used on the larger apes, so for tiny marmosets to learn, it's quite unusual.
That's our target.
The first stage is to persuade the monkey to come to the right spot on the mesh by providing a target.
That's our target.
We're actually conditioning a really natural behavior for most primates, which is to reach out and touch food, which is a really strong motivator for them. And we're pairing that with a click, which is actually something that tells them they did something good, because it usually is followed by the food.
Good boy.
These guys have really tiny fingers. They get into squabbles once in a while. So finger injuries are not uncommon. So you can imagine to have a hand presentation at request at any time in the day gives you a great opportunity to look at an injury up close, and in most cases even treat it.
Target.
Leanne believes clicker training is the kindest and least stressful way to help captive primates.
This is basically making their life here as high quality as possible. We want to let them just do what they do in a social setting. And that's really the goal here at Monkey World.
Nathan, target. Good boy. Well done.
Marcel's been successful with the target, so Donna tries tiny Nathan next and asks for his hand.
Hand. Nathan, hand.
But Nathan's lost interest,
Nathan.
and Marcel's nowhere to be seen. So, for now, Leanne and Donna abandon the training session. At the park's marmoset enclosure, the tiny monkeys are enjoying a treat of stick insects. Common marmosets are native to the central forests of Brazil, and in the wild live in groups of up to around 15 individuals. They have claw-like nails which help them cling to branches and land when they leap.
Marcel!
Leanne and Donna are back to see if they can persuade the marmosets to present their small hands for examination. The monkeys lost interest halfway through the last session, but ever-patient Donna is trying again with Marcel.
Marcel, hand? No. Marcel, hand. Good boy, well done.
So click when he gives you the hand,
Okay.
and then you can say okay when you're done.
Marcel, hand. Good boy, well done.
And then go ahead with that duration again.
Hand. Marcel, hand. Good boy, well done.
Yeah, that's great. And he did start to leave it there for a duration, which is good. And that's
Yeah.
what you want to work toward.
Yeah. Cool.
Well done.
The training session went really well. Obviously, when we start it each day, you don't know what the animal's going to be thinking, whether they're going to be in the mood for training or not. But today seemed to go really well. Marcel, hand. Good boy. Definitely a good result. Hopefully, all the other marmosets in the park will be achieving the same thing.
The majority of the chimps at the park have been rescued from beach photographers and the pet trade. The care staff try to encourage the kind of behaviour they would have learned in the forest, like foraging for different foods. Today, they're putting out pachnoda grubs, high-protein insect larvae similar to those the chimps might eat in their natural habitat. Hananya's group all had a tough start, but life at the park has given them a second chance. Being the alpha male, Hananya always gets to eat first and has no hesitation snacking on the grubs. Gangly teenager Shamak hoovers them up and looks for more, while Simon and high-ranking female Joni are a little unsure. Not enamoured with the grubs, Simon heads to the pond to correct his bad hair day. While former lab chimp Evelyn, usually a bit of a tomboy, ignores the grubs completely in favour of comfy blankets. But while Hananya and his group relax, there's one chimp missing.
All right, then I'll go back. Will you? Good.
Trudy has been suffering from back problems, and the team are hoping a mobile MRI scanner will reveal the cause. They've looked at her brain and are now examining her spine.
Anything that's going to be sinister like a tumour is going to show up nice and bright. So we haven't seen anything there. Exclude the brain, because although it's bright, it's meant to be surrounded by fluid, so that's fine. That's good news.
Wildlife vet John checks Trudy's vital signs, and she's lined up for a lower back scan.
There's a massive lesion there.
Oh my God!
So it's...
Andrew has spotted an abnormality in Trudy's lower lumbar region. This could be the cause of her pain.
Looks like perhaps a slight herniation of this material here.
Interesting that some of the discs in the neck appear to be desiccated or dropping.
We're looking at the top part of lumbar vertebrae number 5, which looks to have perhaps ankylosed or fused with the vertebrae above it. You can imagine two bones that are meant to be separate, but when they become one, they start to fuse together. Then it means that anything that's meant to be between them, be that disc material, or if it's impinging on the spinal cord, then it's going to cause problems to whatever that happens to be. If it's impinging on some nerves or some the spinal cord, then it's going to cause a lot of pain, and that could be why she's now tentative. And instead of jumping from tree to tree, she's now going down to the ground. So yes, it's going to cause a lot of pain. Is it curative? You can actually go in and shave off part of the bone. That's a decision that John will make in consultation with his colleagues.
A lot of primates get spinal arthritis, but not in the same kind of position as that. And Trudy's young. It's a very juvenile animal to have, spinal arthritis. What I'd like to do is hear the opinion of someone who spends, is an expert in interpreting spinal scans. And that's our next move, really.
It's been a worthwhile exercise, and the team may be closer to finding out what's causing Trudy's discomfort. But at the moment, there are still more questions than answers.
You're a good little man, aren't you? Yes, you are.
Baby woolly monkey Diego is now 6 months old. He's been hand-reared by Alison and the primate care team, but their sleepless nights have come to an end.
Today's probably the last day that I'm gonna have him here with me feeding him, because I think really now I've become more of a hindrance in his life than an asset, and he's ready to join the woolly monkey group for good. So I think today is probably gonna be the last day that he stays with me. At this point, he spends all day long with the woolly monkeys and flies about the enclosure, so there is no need for us to be fussing over him. He's a woolly monkey and he's ready to go home.
Diego is about to join his new woolly family full-time. Three months ago, tragedy struck at the park when they lost one of these precious endangered woolly youngsters after a fall. Little Raoul's accident shocked everyone, but now the team have a plan to make sure Diego stays safe.
Little Raoul actually took a spill and cracked his head open inside the house. Now, we need to make sure that the house is kitted up as good as humanly possible for when a young lad like him starts moving about, that if he does take a tumble or a fall, because they do fall from the trees, they do make mistakes when they're learning, and we just need to make sure that in the house there are enough ropes hanging down that wherever he is, he can reach out and grab something. Even if he's falling down, odds are that that tail or hands and feet will latch onto something before he hits the deck.
So the maintenance team and keepers get to work transforming the woolly monkey playhouse into a safe environment for adults and babies. A delighted Holly is happy to give a guided tour.
So we've put in things like laundry baskets, which they like to sit in, they like to sit on, and we can hide their dinner in or insects in, just to keep things new and different for them. We've also added some logs, which we've suspended from the ceiling. Lavar's very, very strong. He's the dominant male, and he would throw these around in displays. So just to make sure nobody gets injured and that our windows are safe, we've secured them with hose that Diego also can climb up and down. And we've added rope bridges that are nice and brightly coloured, so they're fun to look at, and Diego can use those to access different parts of the house, like the food bowls, the floor, the ceiling. But one of the most important things we've done is we've installed drop-downs of hose for Diego to be able to get up and out of the way and access the ceiling and slides and that kind of thing. But we've made a couple of other additions as well. One's a cargo net, which we've added up in the rafters. We've secured that with great big bolts, so nobody will be taking that down. And that will help us if Diego's up in the rafters and does take a bit of a tumble. He will catch himself in the cargo net. And whilst it's good for him, it's fun for the adults too. They can swing round in it and sunbathe in it under the skylights.
Diego has been spending his days in the bedrooms at the woolly house. Tonight, he will sleep there for the first time. And in the morning, all being well, he'll be allowed into the playroom. Keeper Holly has one last sleepless night to check how he's getting on.
I stayed here till about 9 o'clock last night, making sure that everybody dropped off to sleep well. And he had a pretty late night. I think he was making the most of not having any adult supervision. But at 9 o'clock, he fell asleep with Julio on a shelf in one of the bedrooms, curled up in a ball, which, well, we couldn't really be happier for him to decide to sleep with a woolly monkey rather than sleep in the crates we provide for them with fleecy blankets in. Is such a big step. Everyone's absolutely chuffed to bits.
After a good night's sleep, Diego, half-brother Julio and the rest of the group get a chance to see the home improvements.
Well done, guys. Come on then. Come on, Suze. So far, it's been absolutely fantastic. Diego was a little bit unsure at first. We were quite happy for him not to even brave the room for days and just check it out from a distance, but he went and had a look in the tunnel, had a quick peek in the room, thought about it for a minute, and then he was straight in, all over the floor, up and down the ropes, and the browse seemed to be a particularly good hit, jumping about in that and eating some of it. So far it's going fantastically.
Next time on Monkey Life, the ring-tailed lemur who ruled the roost at a family home.
Kaya didn't fit in to our life at all. We had to fit around Kaya. You ready, Elvira? Look, ha! That's it.
And the Chilean capuchins get a lesson in wild behaviour.